Welcome. It's back to back, so we are here. This is the session. You can share it with your friends and colleagues. People will be coming in as we go, but in the meantime, we've got some people here. Today is Sunday, November 29, and this is Learning Together with Vance and everyone who's involved in Learning Together, which is English language teachers, teachers around the world who want to explore what it means to teach with technology and with other teachers. So it's a really big social event every single week. So Vance is here, and I'm going to introduce Vance to those who may not know him. And those who are watching the recording, since this will be available also on YouTube and Vimeo for those who don't get YouTube. So Vance, I'm not sure whether you're going to be screen sharing, but if you are, I can always change the settings for Camtasia. So Vance Stevens has been at the forefront of technology and bringing and learning with everyone for the past, I would say, how many years, Vance? Maybe almost 20 years, probably longer. And he's been with Electronic Village for almost 15. Webheads, I think, is probably longer, or maybe about the same time. He's involved in everything that connects teachers and helps them learn. I'm very, very grateful that Vance mentioned something in one of the sessions, and that is that, well, I'm not really happy about this, but it's something that many of us share, so I was happy to hear that I'm not the only one. When he mentioned that at school where he works at the college, he can't really play around and do whatever he wants. He has to kind of go by, a set system, so you can't really explore. So he enjoys coming online where he can do all his explorations and learning. And I think many English language teachers and others from around the world feel the same way, that we enjoy coming online and getting a chance to explore and share. So going to pass on the mic. Well, you've got the mic, I think, Vance, but if not, I'll pass it on to you. And your presentation is right there. And people will be coming in, as I said. There's the link again. You can invite your friends, because I think it's really important for you to, and your friends, to hear this. And it's always good to hear it with someone else. So Vance, I thought I saw you, but now I don't see you anymore. So let me see if I can figure out how to find you. Oh, actually, Vance, oh, there you are. Okay. I thought I saw you. And welcome to Learning Together, your show.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Am I audible?
Really?
Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. Wonderful.
Very, very well.
I'll put this up where I can speak into it. And is the volume okay?
Oh,
Peggy,
you can't see you. Peggy, you might have to lift. Sometimes the chat box goes into the webcam, so you may need to kind of pull it down. Let me know if that helps.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm sure you'll see me eventually. She says there's an empty box for me. Or do I have to do anything myself? And people can't hear me either. Okay, I see that I'm getting, it looks like everything's switched on. Click.
Fine.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It to people. Rob is going to give a session on this it's really important that people realize, participants, that you need to really get rid of Skype, get rid of all your tabs, close your tabs, only have one tab open. And if you lose audio at some point, just click on Vance's webcam and stop the streaming. Vance, you don't have to do that yourself. And that makes things better. We really have to take care of our systems and make sure that we clean out the cache and all kinds of things that actually make things difficult for us. But we just came back from another session, so sometimes it's good to also refresh as much as we can.
Yeah.
Hope that helps.
Okay. Well, anyway, I hope people will eventually hear me, or I hope I'm coming through on the recording. So I see lots of red in my microphone. That looks very good, and I can see my own webcam as a little thumbnail down in the lower corner of that screen. So things seem to be okay. So I've been giving some talks lately kind of on this topic. It comes from a mishmash, or I guess you could say a mashup, a smash, an app smash of different communities that a lot of us populate. So there's Learning Together, which is, Nellys already introduced Learning Together. She introduced it before Susan's talk, so it was very nice. And Learning Together meets Moodle MOOC 7, EVO. EVO is Electronic Village Online, and Gamification and Teacher Professional Development. That this has to do with one of our Moodle MOOC sessions. It's one of the sessions in the Electronic Village Online. So now, if you want to get all the hyperlinks here, all you have to do is go to that URL, slideshare.net/VanceS, and so that will give you the where you can follow all the links that come here, because I always annotate my slides. I put lots of links there, so if you want more depth in what I'm talking about, you can see that. There's a funny thing about slideshare.net, by the way. I hope people got that. Maybe somebody can put that in the text chat. Okay, is Judy talking to me? Vance, on the top right are your mic and vid camera icons. Make sure they're not X'd out. They aren't. They look normal. Nelly says it's normal, so I hope everything's working. Well, anyway, maybe somebody could put, or maybe I'll do it while we're waiting for people to catch up. I'll just put that link there. So if you go to this link, slideshare.net/VanceS, here's where you can find my slides. I hope that's the right link. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide. I'm operating two computers here. I mentioned there was something about SlideShare. The funny thing about SlideShare is that it doesn't hyperlink until it reaches the fourth slide. So I put a table of contents here, kind of what I'm going to talk about today. It's probably a good exercise. But anyway, this is basically, I'm going to talk about, already have mentioned, our overlapping communities of practice. And I gave a talk last week at the GEC conference, Global Education Conference, on CMOOCs and XMOOCs. And I want to talk a bit about, I left out something there. Anyway, I'll come to that, but I'm going to talk about what information, or what things you're trying to teach is really good for CMOOCs. And then I'm going to talk about the CMOOC approach in Electronic Village Online, and especially how we use it to learn about gamification, which is something that, like language learning, lends itself to CMOOC approach. And then I'm going to talk about how we apply this approach in our EVO Minecraft sessions, how we did last year, how we're planning to do it again this year, and I'm going to introduce you to the people who are teaching those sessions. So that slide is really all about taking up a slide, taking up space, so that now if you're on my slide show, the hyperlinks should work here. So, as it says here, this is Learning Together episode 303. This is our 303rd session. And Guadalupe and Judy are complaining about no sound or visual. Peggy still can't get it. Are you sure you're broadcasting, Nellie? Is everything okay?
And it has nothing to do with what you're doing. You're fine. We hear you. We see you. The sound is great. It's just systems. Yeah, you're fine. It's yeah. It's you know, people's systems are different. If you're using a Mac, you should be using Safari and not Chrome. If you're using a tablet, you have to make sure that you upgrade the WizIQ app, because they just upgraded it, I think, and the old one is not really working.
Okay. All right.
So there are two things.
Guadalupe says she can hear you. She can't hear me, she said. Guadalupe, can you check back? Can you hear me? If you can write something. Okay, Peggy is using Safari. She still doesn't see me on video. I guess, I don't know if she can hear me. Probably not. Anyway.
Yeah. Peggy, what you can, yeah, the only thing you can do if you don't see, you can play around. It's modular. So what happens is you can move, if you go to the top of the chat, you'll be able to see a black area, and that's the webcam. You might have to pull it to the left or make your chat smaller. Just pull the whole chat box from the top down, and then you should be able to see it.
Okay, well, anyway, to carry on, I was just mentioning the topic of this slide, which is this is the 303rd episode of Learning Together. So we've been doing this since 2009. This is the 29th of November, 2015. And the 300th episode of Learning Together was at Second Life Languages. In fact, there's a link at the bottom to that presentation. And this is the last time I talked about Minecraft as a way to gamify learning. It's a little bit different from what I'm talking about tonight. And also that talk included Vance Stuckey, one of our co-moderators of that session, and also Mariana and Philip Smolchek. And they demonstrated from in-world Minecraft. So actually it's an interesting, makes an interesting recording. I made a YouTube video taking Nellie's recommendation to get Camtasia. I finally got it. So I made a YouTube video out of it. That was an Adobe Connect presentation. So if you're interested in learning together, there's an archive. This is possibly, it's at learningtogether.net, but this is an archive of all the 303 presentations so far, and this one will be archived in a few days. And so that's a place where you can see all 300 of our shows. But we're not the only one who makes archives of shows. Nellie has a real wow archive for this, what she's been doing just this month. And this is only 1 month in Nellie's life. So she's put the playlist on YouTube for all the presentations this month, and it really makes a great archive. So if you just, you can get it too by clicking on the link in this slide. So that takes us to the next community on my list, and that's Electronic Village Online. And Electronic Village Online, if you're familiar with it and you can hear me, you might just give me a smiley or a thumbs up if you know if you participate in it. I think for the people I see here, I know Peggy knows about it. Maha gave me a smiley. She can hear me. Great. Okay. So Maha at least is with us. Not sure if the other people on the list are only, well, no, how many presenters can I see here? Let's see. Oh, I scrolled down a little bit. Okay, anyway, Electronic Village Online is something that's been going on since 2001. It happens every year, January to February. It's free. It's a very serious professional development effort. And there's its link there, evosessions.pbworks.com. You simply go to the site in January 3rd, and you can register for the sessions. And there are sessions in creating ebooks, blogs. There's one on Second Life, learning in Second Life, and then ours in Minecraft. So that's something that I've been participating in. I'm one of the coordinators there, and I've been doing it since 2002, which is when we did our first EVO session about webheads in action. So, as I mentioned last week, I gave a talk on MOOCs for the EVO Moderator Training. We're doing moderator training this month. And yeah, I'm just following the text chat. There seems to be quite a lot of problem in the people hearing me respond synchronously. But anyway, hopefully it is being recorded and we'll all have the recording. So I gave a talk because MOOCs were coming up in the in the moderator training, and we were looking into MOOCs. And so I gave a talk about MOOCs. Now, here again, if you know about MOOCs and XMOOCs, you know the difference, you could say something in the text chat. That would also let me know that some people are hearing me. And the talk itself is at the hyperlink there. People in the USA are having problems. Goodness gracious. Okay, that's Nellys' prognosis of what's going on. Okay, so anyway, I talked about MOOCs and XMOOCs, and I'm not going to talk about that now, but just to cover the basics. These are some XMOOCs that you probably know about. Udacity was one of the first. Well, no, actually, Sebastian Thrun, who made a course at Stanford on artificial intelligence where he had thousands of people taking the course, and it was actually on artificial intelligence. It was an actual course at Stanford that gave credit. Before that, there had been what's called MOOCs starting in 2008. George Siemens, Stephen Downes, Dave Cormier, and some other people were involved in the first one, which is called Connectivism and Connectivist Knowledge. And that was the only kind of MOOC there was. Well, that was actually what they gave the name to MOOCs. Dave Cormier did, possibly Brian Alexander, massive open online course. But what Sebastian Thrun did was he put the MOOCs, he made them mainstream, because when he did his course in artificial intelligence, it was so successful that he quit his job at Stanford, and well, they started working for Google, and then he went on to found Udacity and another similar other courses. Other MOOCs are edX, for example, or Coursera, and a lot of people now think that this is, well, yes, Maha is asking, she says her first was EdMOOC in 2012. I think I took that course. I would have, yes, EdMOOC is kind of an in-between. That's coming up as an in-between kind of course. It did have a program, but it was really pretty much a MOOC in that people interacted, as I remember. Oh, the Stanford one, yes, Maha, the Stanford one was definitely an XMOOC. That's right. It was because, and what made it an XMOOC was that it was robo-graded by an algorithm developed by Amazon, and there was people were really trying to learn the course material and trying to teach them themselves that way. So we can look at some differences between XMOOCs and CMOOCs. George Siemens wrote an article called "MOOCs Are a Platform." He applied the term XMOOC to what Sebastian Thrun and the people at Coursera and edX and Udacity were doing, and he said that the CMOOC, his model of MOOC, their model of MOOC, emphasizes creation, creativity, autonomy, and social networking, whereas the Coursera model, or the XMOOC model, and it wasn't called XMOOC before he wrote this, but he called it XMOOC after edX, and he said the Coursera model emphasizes more traditional learning approach through video presentations, short quizzes, and testing. So put another way, CMOOCs focus on knowledge creation and generation, whereas XMOOCs focus on knowledge duplication. And Maha rightly says that she gets benefit from both. And that's actually a point that I'm going to make in a moment, and that is that some things lend themselves very well to CMOOCs, and some things lend themselves very well to XMOOCs. Some people say that you wouldn't want to be about to go under an anesthesiology and your surgeon gets into a chat so he can sort of figure out from his friends what he's supposed to do in this operation. That's the kind of thing that you wouldn't learn socially, really. But many areas lend themselves to CMOOCs, and one of them is language. And when I gave the talk at the GEC conference last week, there was a follow-up talk with EVO moderators and coordinators. And Elizabeth Hanson-Smith, who is on the right in this picture, was there. And she was talking about a MOOC that she's involved with, with people from Oregon University, as Deborah Healy and Jeff Magato in that picture also. And this is called Shaping the Way We Teach English. And it has a definite syllabus, tasks, and objectives, similar to what Maha, the EdMOOC she was talking about earlier. However, it utilizes mentors and tutors, volunteers really, an army of them almost, to help people to connect with each other and learn socially. So there's a large social aspect to it. So Elizabeth was kind of trying to point out to me, or she was trying to say that that CMOOC is not really the best model. Of course, yes, I agree with her. I told her that that approach they were using seemed to be just the right one for what they were trying to teach. And so you have to understand that there's a range or a spectrum between CMOOC and XMOOC. And so I want to look a little bit more deeply now into what that spectrum looks like. So in this next slide, you'll find a link to a Learning Together session where Dave Cormier came on and talked a little bit about that, what MOOCs can help people to learn. And he brought up this kinefid. This what you see there is a kinefid decision-making chart. So it divides problems into simple problems, complicated problems, complex ones, and chaotic ones. So a simple problem is something where where the outcomes are predictable. Complicated outcomes are also probably predictable, but there's more analysis required. Complex gets into where outcomes are not so predictable. It's a topic that would not, doesn't just lend itself to algorithms. So that you have to make decisions, maybe some human decisions. Chaotic is kind of like in war, where things are just happening. They're so crazy that you don't really. Anyway, but the kinds of problems that MOOCs address are ones that are complex and chaotic. Now, two things that are that kind of problem are language learning and gamification. So you can train people in languages on the left side of that. But on the right side, where people are actually starting to use languages, that's that kind of thing requires complex and chaotic decision making. So David Snowden is one of the developers of the Kinefin framework, and he, if you click on the YouTube URL, you'll find a little 5-minute presentation about it, which is really very useful. What he basically says is that, for example, you'll see there's a cliff between simple and chaotic. If you are trained in simple, let's say you're learning a language and you're trained in school to speak it, but then you go, maybe you get on a plane and you go to France or wherever, and you find that the reality is much more chaotic. That's a really hard move to make. So if the training doesn't really fit the the tasks you're going to have to do, then there is a huge disjunct, especially going from simple to chaotic. You can move around the chart, simple to complicated to complex to chaotic, a little bit more smoothly. But simple to chaotic, he says there's a cliff for that. So is anybody in a position to ask questions? Okay, no telling. Oh, so Maha is hearing just fine, so that's very nice. I like Maha. Okay, so anyway, so the CMOOC approach, I think, Nelly mentioned earlier that the reason that I do a lot of my online work is that I like to experiment. It really gives me a chance to experiment. So what I'm really interested in experimenting with is how people function together in communities. And so when I set up a course, especially in in Electronic Village Online, when I have control over the course, I'll generally try to experiment with getting people to address chaotic situations. Actually, George Stevens Downs have addressed chaos in learning, and they say that George Stevens says that learning has to be chaotic. If chaos is required for learning, because when you find chaos, you have to make sense of it. So that is the process of learning. Whereas an XMOOC approach would try to teach you in a stepwise fashion. Now, that could be the best approach for some things. Surely, especially if you have accreditation involved, or if you need people to say to move on to the next level. That's what I call training. Training as opposed to learning. So, but many things that you want to learn eventually require training. So it's not that one is good or bad. It's just that there are appropriate situations for training people and then bringing them up to the upper part of Bloom's triangle and Bloom's hierarchy. So, yeah, and let's see, Nelly is commenting in the chat about the photos. These are actually an amalgam of two communities, and Nelly's pointing herself out. That's nice, Nelly. You see a lot of other faces there. The one on the left was the Writing for Webheads community. It was a community of students that eventually attracted teachers, and from that we started in 2002 with Webheads in Action. And Webheads in Action was a community that still exists. It's still going strong since 2002, so that's what, about 15 years or so, well, 14 years. Except that the Writing for Webheads started in 1998, so we really have been going for 18 years, I suppose, or 17 years, something like that. So this is one of the first. Now, in 2002, recall that the term MOOC was coined in 2008. So we're actually looking at what you might consider to be something like a Facebook page. Everyone's face is there, but this is even before Facebook. Facebook was started in 2004. So it was even before Moodle. Martin Dugimus made faces a part of the Moodle interface. So this is something that we discovered. That's one thing, one of the ingredients that forms a community. So that was my first dabbling in what you might call a CMOOC or a CMOOC approach, which is basically getting people to teach themselves. So there was a syllabus. We were talking about online, it was what we call CMC tools, computer-mediated communication. So we were training people in using the tools, but the real learning was taking place by the people interacting using those tools, and it was just magic. A community of practice formed. So my next experiment with this in EVO was what I started out calling multiple literacies. I was actually asked to teach a course in multiple literacies with the TESOL Principles of Practice online program. And the course was on multiple literacies, but I kept developing it in Electronic Village Online. And again, it was a course that I was trying to develop as one that people would learn about multiple literacies by doing multiple literacies. And you can see at goodbyegutenberg.pbworks.com, there's still a course there. I even add to it now. Then I'm maintaining the ebooks list, for example. There's a nice list of ebooks called something I called Berry Bush Bookstore. Berry Bush is the way that I think people learn. It's something that came from Scanlon and Scanlon last century, some research they were doing on how early online days, or early networking days, I should say, when they networked people, they found that their approach to learning was more in the Berry Bush model, whereas the model of learning before random access was linear. So linear is the conduit. So there was the Berry Bush versus the conduit. And the conduit was the linear progression of learning that was very popular at the turn of the century. Mastery learning, for example. When people were designing learning, they would often choose a linear approach. Berry Bush is what you do in a MOOC, really. You go to the MOOC and you find you're overwhelmed with information. And so you take the bits of information that you want, and you use those bits of information. You might not take them all in order, or you might not get all of them, but it's like a berry bush. There might be some thorns preventing you from getting the berries that you really want to get. But basically, the information is there, and you find a way to get that information. And you take what you want, and you're happy. It's kind of like fishing. You know, you can't catch all the fish. Maybe there's some big corporations that try, but most people just take what they want, and they take it home and cook it and come back the next day. Okay, so that leads me to my present endeavor with Electronic Village Online, and this is what we call EVO Minecraft MOOC. We're calling everything a MOOC, but I have to, and here MOOC has a capital letter. MOOC means Massive Open Online Course, but often I make a small letter in that MOOC and call it a minuscule open online course. So I'm really playing with the concept. It's not like I'm dogmatically saying we're doing a MOOC or we're not doing a MOOC. You know, I don't really mean to create that impression, nor that one kind of MOOC is superior to another. That's not my meaning at all. What I'm trying to do is learn. I'm trying to experiment and learn about how the pieces go together. So here again, if you go to slideshare.net/VanceS, you can find the live link to our Google community, which is open, of course. And it's got a lot of things from the last EVO session, and we're just getting it underway, assuming our session is selected for presentation for offer in January. Right now, all the sessions are theoretically under evaluation. So anyway, this is a Google Plus community. We found Google Plus to be, in our experimentation again, we found this to be a very robust environment for for setting up communities and for people interacting with one another. Okay, so anyway, what we're trying to understand is gamification. And this is gamification in teacher professional development. Our theory is that in order to understand gamification, you need to participate in gamification. So it's complex because you can't really, you can read articles on gamification and listen to what other people say about it, but you really don't understand it until you participate and you find, through immersing yourself in a game, how it's working. The game is Minecraft, but the real game is teacher professional development. So what we're trying to do is learn teacher professional development. Like with the original webheads, we taught community building. People were learning community building, but they were actually learning about computer CMC tools, computer-mediated communication tools. So that was what we were teaching. In multiliteracies, we're teaching, actually I started, that evolved from a book by Stuart Selber where he talked about what multiliteracies is, and eventually I took it into the MOOC concept, and so it actually, multi-MOOC became kind of a study of MOOCs. So if you're going to study MOOCs, that's one thing. Obviously, if you've participated in a MOOC, then then you'll understand MOOCs a lot more than if you just talk about them or read about them. And here again, the kind of MOOC you participate in, a C MOOC or an X MOOC, it's like the proverbial elephant. What you understand a MOOC to be is going to depend on whether it's really a C MOOC, a communicative MOOC, a connectivist MOOC, or an X MOOC, which is more possibly trying to bring you up to a standard to meet a qualification. So anyway, this approach to gamification is not for everybody. It's for people really who are articulate in understanding how learning takes place and what they want to learn. And the syllabus, therefore, is pitched at learners who can define their own outcomes and can find their own path to learning those outcomes. So here again, there are people who are think that learning is something that, like a berry bush, that they're going to take what they can from it and find their own way, their own path to the berries that they find more appealing. And one interesting aspect of this is that the syllabus is driven by the collective. Just as in a game, many games are played, they evolve, they rule according to how things that happen in the game. Okay, so the path through the game may be different each time you play the game. There's a different score each time, or different things happen. But in a lot of games, players kind of determine what happens. And here's Dave Cormier again. He's just appeared here in this slide. One of his MOOCs is called Rhizomatic Learning. That was in 2014. I think he did it again in 2015. It's just ongoing. It's just when people get into this MOOC, they just keep doing it. So Rhizo 14, his theme was community as curriculum. I believe if you click on that picture or the link at the bottom, you can see Dave talking about that, but actually he's written a lot more since about 2008. He's been writing about community as curriculum. What it means basically is that his metaphor for learning is the rhizome, which kind of spreads and intertwines and connects, and it just spreads. Learning spreads and kind of networks. So anyhow, the community as curriculum is actually something that comes from Vygotsky or Wenger, maybe Wenger, where I think it was Wenger, where he the apprentice way of learning. In an apprentice system, you learn from the community of apprentices. Okay, so what we're doing in EVO Minecraft MOOC is we're modeling for students and teacher trainers. So assume in this case that students are actually the teachers or people wanting to learn what is being modeled. And guides in this, this is something that Dave Warlick calls a master learner. A teacher is actually someone who learns very well or who can guide others down a learning path or guide them along their own learning path. And so guides in this kind of learning have to be themselves experienced in connecting through networks and possibly in gamification. So who can guide teachers in this kind of learning? It's hard to find guides in Minecraft because, especially if you're an older teacher or you find that it's really appealing for your students, but it's really hard for people to get their foot in the door. There's two challenges. One challenge is finding a community, and the other one is how to gain experience in the game, because you need both of those things. You need a community and you need experience in order to succeed in Minecraft. So to find a community, you're going to get yourself through these steps. You're going to start out as a novice in your community. You become an apprentice. You can sort of build things. And then a practitioner. You can maybe explain to others how to do things. Expert, you can teach others how to do it. So the challenges in finding a community are that a lot of the communities in Minecraft involve school children, and they don't really let people join their servers. So you can find communities, but it's very hard to get onto a server. So what to do about that? Well, this is our solution. We decided to start our own community. Actually, in fact, I was the driver of this because I really wanted to learn more about Minecraft. I was learning so much about it, but not really able to experience it. So it was my idea to put on EVO Minecraft MOOC and to sort of gather other people who were interested in sharing their knowledge in Minecraft. So I would say that third point, don't let lack of expertise deter you. That was me. I had no expertise, but I learned quite a lot just by learning from the experts who did emerge. And interesting thing was that a lot of these experts were children, because we attracted children into our course. So we were sort of flipping learning because we were learning from people who were normally our students. So we flipped that teacher-learner dichotomy a little bit. But basically, we invited educators through Electronic Village Online to learn the game by being in the game. So that's what gamification of our teacher professional development was about. So we gamified. We just had fun playing the game and experimenting, finding out what we could learn from one another. It was community driven. We didn't really have, well, we started out with a syllabus, but as we went along, we sort of changed the syllabus as we went. So the second challenge is getting experience. One of the moderators, Jeff Kuhn, set up a server at Ohio University, and I hope when I was talking about Deborah Healy and Jeff Magoto, I said Oregon University. I wonder if I said Ohio. If I did, my apologies. They're at Oregon. Jeff and another co-moderator we've brought on board is Aaron Schwartz. They're from Ohio University. So anyhow, what we needed to do was find a place with friendly people, peers, to go and play. And so these are some of the things that we did. There's Jeff's train set that he set up for us. We started off in creative mode. Minecraft has creative and survival modes. So the things that we did in Minecraft were we learned how to create, collaborate, and survive. The first two were much easier than the last one. However, once we learned how to collaborate, survival was a lot easier. So that's actually my avatar standing in front of the horse in the flower garden, and I just took that and I put my face on it, and I made it my new avatar in Facebook, and also I'll be keeping it through February, and I might change it after that. Okay, so anyhow, creativity. Here are some of the things. Well, Minecraft is just by definition creative. People are just building. You learn how to build. Philip Smolchitz, one of our moderators, aged 11, built this neat McDonald's, and another guy, Carlos, he was actually the son of another EVO moderator, discovered our session and built us a tower with an elevator. Mentioned here that Jeff contributed the castle. I think it might have been on the map, but in any event, it's something that somebody created and we might have shared. By being on the map, by that I mean that when he set up the server, he installed a map on it, which already had some builds on it. We played, how would you say, in good humor. Jeff and Aaron set up this little building there, which you could enter, and you found a sign on the building that said, "Don't push the button." So, of course, the first thing people want to do is push the button. This caused a huge explosion. But it was a lot of fun. Nobody got hurt, and nobody died, because we were in creative mode at the time. So we're basically learning, as we're playing this game, as we're enjoying ourselves in this world, we're learning how to use the resources. And for example, Philip, who's 11 years old, now he's 12, he sets up his own servers. He knows how to configure them. He would generate lots of rabbits. He taught us how to craft bows and arrows, and then we could shoot these little virtual rabbits for food, which we needed to sustain ourselves in survival mode. Playing with lighting was fun and creative, because Minecraft has day and night. It becomes nighttime, and at night the creatures come out, and they can kill you if you don't protect yourself. If they kill you, you respawn, so it's not permanent. Basically, this got us into our collaboration, because we found when we switched the server into survival mode that we could go hide out in places that Jeff would create for us. He'd put signs on the doors that said, "Here, I've made this little place, come inside for the night." And that's really how it hit me, that this is really a neat way to learn, because you're collaborating with other people, you're learning from them. And also I was with Jeff overnight at the last few minutes, and he would teach me about things he would teach me how to dig, how to look for resources, how to craft, how to save things in a box, in a chest. You can put resources in a chest, and if you die, you can respawn near that place, go back and find your chest, and then you'll have a few resources to use in the next game. So survival mode, in creative mode, first of all, there's unlimited inventories, unlimited time, no sudden death. You just learn basically how to use what you have available. In survival mode, then you have to go out. You're under the clock. You have a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes or something like that, during daytime to find resources to build yourself a house, a place to hide for the night. And each day as you come out, if you avoid the monsters, you can keep developing your resources, building a more incredible world. Okay, so anyway, there was a reward for survival at the end of the course. There was the EVO Minecraft Survivor Badge. I hope next year my co-moderators are going to find more badges to offer people. This will help us develop our syllabus. As if we want to offer badges, we have to teach more about that. So that will assist us. I think we can. Well, actually, the correct way to design the course is to design your assessments first, and so that can drive your syllabus if that's what you want to do. But in any event, badges are optional. This is not an accreditation, something you have to follow in order to get a degree. You have to meet all these steps. This is a berry bush. If you want this badge, you go for it. If you just want to survive, you can do that. One very important thing about badges is there has to be evidence. And we kept our evidence in a spreadsheet, which is public. So if you clicked on the link at the very bottom, you'd see the goals that we had for that badge and who completed the goals. We let our participants write into the spreadsheet when they completed their goals. We did do some check. We did check, for example, in fact, we even, if someone had missed something, for example, one of them is you have to have been enrolled with us. And so Jeff could look on the server and see who was there. So in any event, that was one of the things we built into the course. Gamification should have some kind of reward system. Usually people do work for rewards in a game, and badges is kind of ideal for that. I don't know if we have people who can ask questions, but haven't noticed any questions. Lots of talk still about the problems with the audio and in the actual event. Hopefully this is getting recorded. So anyway, at this point, have you seen any questions, Nelly? No? Okay. She's answered that in text. Okay, so let me just introduce you to the people in our team. This is the EVO MC16, that's our tag for next year. Electronic Village Online Minecraft MOOC 2016 team. There's Jeff. I met him face-to-face in Toronto last year. And Mariana Smolchetz and Philip Smolchetz. There's a rare picture of Philip there in one of his online events. I think he was presenting at the GEC conference on Minecraft. And he and his mother make a great team. Both of these people have written articles in TESOL EJ, which you can click on. You can click on those links, and they'll take you to Jeff Kuhn's article and to one that Mariana and Philip wrote, which is really very interesting because it's about how Philip developed his English so well using Minecraft. He does quite a lot of community interaction with other English speakers, and his language apparently, well, you can read about it in that TESOL EJ link. So Mariana describes how he learned his language development. The TESOL EJ is the Teachers of English as a Second Language electronic journal. So it's an online journal. I'm an editor of the on-internet column there. Okay, so a couple of other people, and there's Vance Stuckey. She's actually, I think, one of the experts in our course right now. I happened to see her at IFTI in Philadelphia earlier this year, and that's the photo of our encounter. Oh wow, look who's here! You know, I had met her before in New York at a TESOL conference. But anyway, I invited her to join us, and she did. And she's a very strong contributor. In fact, if you follow her on Facebook, she's going all over the world talking about Minecraft with people. So she's going to bring quite a lot into our course. And the guy down in the corner, I took that picture at TESOL Arabia 2015. That's Thomas Lawrence, who was talking, not surprisingly, about Minecraft. Okay, bye to Judy. She has to leave. She hasn't been able to catch the presentation. Anyway, Thomas was a participant in our session last year, and such an avid one that we invited him to come along. He's also an experienced EVO moderator. So there are 3 other people besides myself, and Rose Bard. There's a link there you can click on. She also wrote for TESOL EJ on the internet column in a special issue on reflective learners and feedback. She's done a lot of moderation work in ITDI, and also she was interacting with Jeff Kuhn over games, so I invited her to come on board. She has a good heart and a good way of, she's a good moderator also. And then Aaron Schwartz is a colleague of Jeff Kuhn's. He also was a participant in our course last year, as was Barbie Witash from Hungary. And so these 2 are other participants who also seemed so keen on what we were doing that I invited them to be moderators this year. Okay, so this is an invitation to you to join us. This is not just for Minecraft MOOC, this is for all of EVO, Electronic Village Online. You'll find the call for participation at evosessions.pbworks.com. That should appear next month, early next month sometime. Yeah, Nelly is pointing out that Aaron is the, I think, what do they call it? Not the coordinator of TESOL, Call IS. I think you're talking about Call IS, the Call Intersection. The chair, I think is the chair. Anyway, yeah, Call IS chair, that's right. Yes. And he's very busy actually right now with Call IS. They're setting up their plans for the TESOL conference in Baltimore coming up. So, okay. So anyway, January 3rd, you'll see the calls for participation starting next month. You have a month to think about what you would like to participate in. Here's our abstract to our session. Learn about gamification by experiencing it in constructive play with each other. As you can see, some of the things that we were doing in our session. So, some of the references that I mentioned, some of the articles that Philip and Mariana wrote, and TESOL EJ and Jeff wrote, are listed here, and also some earlier presentations that I gave along these lines. Maha asks, what does gamification refer to? In fact, actually, when I was talking with Heike at the SL Languages conference, she asked me about the difference between gamification and games. Gamification is when you actually enter a game. It's like, well, let's see. It's sort of the difference between watching football on TV and actually playing it. If you have games in class, that's not gamification. Games can be a useful thing to do in class. It entertains students, but gamification is actually when the class itself becomes a game. That, for example, some of the aspects of gamification that occur in EVO Minecraft MOOC are we actually enter the game, we go into the world. Can I disable or mute my webcam? Yes. Maybe you should have asked me this earlier. Okay, I will try. Video status, camera in use. I'm not sure how to do that. I'm clicking on the webcam. Is that the way to do it? It doesn't view status. Oh, here we go. Yes, I got it. I think I managed to turn it off. Okay, so yes, I did that. Okay, that might help. I don't know. Anyway, talking about gamification, some aspects of gamification are use of badges, for example, having periodic rewards during the game. So if you're playing football, you're trying to get the ball into the net. And if you get the ball into the net, then, that was it. Peggy, now she can hear. Oh, here we go. Yes, I got it. Was bandwidth coming from here was causing a problem, perhaps? Okay, so anyway, well, finally we resolved the problem right at the end of my session. Okay, in any event, gamification is where you are rewarded. For example, in American football, if you move the ball 10 yards, you have another 4 chances to do it. So every time you move the ball 10 yards, you get another 4 chances. You get a reward. And you get points for crossing the goal line. So they're really playing a game. So if you can set up your learning like that, and badges are one way to reward learning inside a game. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to learn about gamification, not by studying it, but by actually playing and by setting up the course so that it is itself a game. That's gamification. And what we teachers are trying to do is to move that concept into our actual classes. So it's a tricky one. It's really hard to do. Okay. Hopefully this is all recorded okay. Certainly the slides are available at slideshare.net/VanceS. Thank you for reminding me to get a copy of the chat. And I don't know if anyone was able to hear me. And
Thank you. Sorry about that, Vance. But you have more time, and we've got time for questions, so we can pass on around the mic. I'm not going to put on my webcam because I don't know what's going on. But maybe it just drained the system, even though there aren't that many people, so I don't understand. But then, you know, things happen. Yeah, so Judy's back too, so let's see what's going on. I thought it was some kind of a political thing in the United States, you know, that we had ones with Lebanon, so I thought maybe it was that, but no, it's something as simple as a webcam.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Weird. We'll be there. And
yeah,
be on
questions. Vance, I wanted to ask you, you know, with the exploring and the experimenting and everything that you're doing, and the fact that you're learning so much and you've been learning all these years, are you able to move a little bit more forward? Can you use any of this in your current place of work or somewhere face-to-face?
Well, yes. First of all, because of my experience with teaching courses in the online environment, I always have a wiki or someplace online where students can go to. A lot of the things that I do online I take into my classroom. And I'm kind of unique. You know, other teachers approach this question of how they communicate with students in different ways. One way is to photocopy a lot of papers, hand out papers to students. Actually, I do that, but there's always something online. When you have things online, how do you communicate the links to them, for example? How do you get people to move from one place to another? If this is built into you because you've been designing courses online, then it's quite an easy thing to do. That's one way. And then another thing, my students are interested in Minecraft, and there's another challenge, a third challenge, and that is that being able to use Minecraft in your curriculum. There's a lady who presented with us at the ISTE conference in the workshop we gave. Part of our workshop was about Minecraft. I was talking about teaching writing using voice tools. But she had her students. She's in Dubai, and in fact, a lot of our participants in EVO Minecraft MOOC are in similar situations. Their students are there in Minecraft. Their students are playing Minecraft. They're interested in Minecraft. So what you need to do is, if people are asking you, hang on a minute, is this in the curriculum? What you have to do is show them that the curriculum is in it. So what she had her students do was she had her students justify their use of Minecraft in the curriculum by having them themselves. They wanted to play Minecraft. Okay, you can only do this if it meets our curriculum objectives. Here are the curriculum objectives. You tell me how we're meeting the curriculum objectives. So by having her students do that, I thought that was a pretty nice way to justify using Minecraft. Not only justify it, but actually she got it accepted in her context. So actually there are people, I mentioned that in Philadelphia we did this conference, we did a workshop. The people that I gave the workshop with were my colleagues at work. So here again we're all learning a little bit more about Minecraft. Now we're kind of getting to the point where yeah, we'd really like to get something going with it. So it just moves forward. So yes, I would say that certainly the things that we do online inform the more interesting aspects of your work. You may not be able to wholesale bring it into your courses. I mean, I'm not setting up I don't have my students playing it, but we had students playing Minecraft themselves and doing projects on it, doing reports on it, things like that. So, in fact, actually some of the best writing we got out of our students this last term was about their use of Minecraft. They were, they're pulling out some really great adjectives and putting them in their writing very convincing things about Minecraft. Have I conducted research on this? On Minecraft? No, not yet. I'm thinking about it. Actually, you see, last year was a pilot study, a proof of concept, I should say. We did have a little research. I went to a research conference in Tarragona, the Cal Research Conference from the Cal Journal, and I couched some of what I did in research. I mean, I did have some statistics, so I guess that's one of the links that I showed in that presentation is here, the last one. So if you go there, you'll see, well, that's actually, that's a Learning Together session, because what I did in Tarragona, I actually used Blackboard Collaborate running on my computer as I gave the presentation. So I just gave the presentation from the podium, but I also gave it in Blackboard Collaborate. So I recorded it, and then I also wrote it up. And so if you go to that link at the very bottom there, you can read how I couched the research I was doing. So I guess, yeah, you could say I did a little research, technically speaking, but it was pretty rudimentary at this point. Oh, thank you, Peggy. Peggy says she saw the recording. That's nice. I really appreciate that. It's nice to know that people are looking at those. And I missed Peggy at that conference in ISTE. I was very disappointed about that. So, yes?
How did you miss each
other? I missed Peggy.
I mean, why did you miss each other? Didn't you know?
Well, it was my first ISTE conference. It was a little confusing for me to understand because actually a lot of people I follow in the K-12 online conference sphere and through World Bridges and other community EdTech talk, these people have become familiar to me, and we've also overlapped sometimes. One of our web heads was somebody who was interviewed by Kevin Honeycutt. I met him at ISTE. So there's connections. There's quite a lot of connections there, but I really didn't know in the ISTE conference how to really crack the network. I didn't know where all the meeting places were, and so the conference was over before I really figured out how to really network in the way I might do if I go a second time. There was quite a lot about Minecraft there in ISTE as well. It was another thing that my colleagues who came to present the workshop on the first day were all seeing how powerful Minecraft is. Microsoft has just bought it from Mojang, and they're pushing it in education. Pushing it, well, it's being pulled actually. They're helping it along. Yeah, please, yeah. Notch no longer works for the company. Yeah, and Peggy says that it was her last ISTE conference because she can't travel.
Oh, that's a bummer, as Judy says.
Everyone
Yeah, it would
online.
be nice since a lot of people are coming to Baltimore, but you know, if you can't travel, that's a problem. Yeah, I'm sure it does. But maybe we can come to you, Peggy. You know, I don't know.
She's in
All right,
Phoenix.
so Phoenix, Arizona, really? I'd love to go there.
Yeah, but surely there'll be a conference in Phoenix one of these days.
Yeah, I think Phoenix is a good place for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Vance, I'd like to thank you, and I'm really sorry about the tech issues, but I'm glad we resolved them. Now we know for next time that having the camera on could be problematic in some parts or with some connections. So that's good to know. And we'll see you at the next session. We've got 3 more today. So the next one is coming to us from Poland, and it's going to be in about, well, in about 20 minutes, 40 minutes actually, about 40 minutes or so. So join us. The link to the next session is right here. Let me add it. And we'll make sure that everybody hears everything. And if we have to stop the webcams, we will, if that is going to make a difference. So thank you so much, Vance. I don't hear you anymore, but I believe you're there. Thank you for coming to give us a get-together as part of MM7. And everyone can learn. This is your chance to learn to play Minecraft at the, well, I hope it's going to be a course, Vance. I'm saying it probably will be at the EVO 16 sessions. And thank you. So there's the link to the next session with Helena from Poland, who's going to be talking about the culture of learning. So Vance, copy the chat before we forget. Okay, you copy the chat, Cheryl? Okay, so Cheryl, you're going to add the chat to the Moodle MOOC MM7 Facebook group, and you copied it as well. Okay, wonderful. And this, of course, was recorded, but without the chats. And will appear on YouTube. And by the way, you can get most YouTube videos. You can get the MP4s and MP3s, by the way. There's a system that I will share very soon. And Vance likes the audio, so Vance, I can share the MP4 with you if you like. So you can convert it to just use the MP3.
Yes.
So I'm ending the chat. Thank you. And bye for all. See you next class.